I had taken acid, ecstasy. I had this, I guess, out-of-body type of experience. But I picked up the phone and I picked up the operator and I said, how do I get in touch with God? My name is Abby Wirick. Hear my story. My freshman year of college at Rollins, I was doing well in classes. I was learning, and they had a party one night on the unit, on the floor, with the fraternity brothers and everyone there. And I was sexually assaulted. And I went to go share the next morning with the individuals that were responsible for taking reports like that. And that's when I was told, well, you were there and at the party. And I felt like what I was saying didn't matter. And so that's when I shut down, and I didn't believe that if I shared really what was going on and how I felt and what happened to me, that anybody would believe me. And so in that part, I went to the other side, meaning I overly started to just drink and go out and party, and just, if they're going to believe this about me, why don't I just be like that? But I started going more into the night scene, to the clubs that they had downtown. Again, that desire to fit in and wanting to be loved and wanted and needed. And I found that artificially through using things like ecstasy, smoking more marijuana, drinking. So 19 to 21, I was in this phase of just doing that, just getting away with it, thinking, oh, nothing's going to touch me. And then 21. And I went to a New Year's Eve party with a friend. I probably took about 15 ecstasy pills, probably some acid, and then this girl had nitrous oxide, and I did some of those. And that's when things went black. And then I heard the voice of what I believe Jesus said, you need to get up now. And I'm like, so I had this battle going on. I'm like, this is a really bad trip, a bad experience, but I knew I needed to get up. I go back to my apartment. As I open up the door, I smell fire throughout my entire apartment, but there was no fire. I now realize I smelled hell. Literally, hell was waiting for me. I took all the drugs I had, I flushed them down the toilet, and I remembered I stole a Bible from Rollins College for a religion class. But I had it, I'm like, God told me exactly where to find it. I have no faith, I don't know what this is about. And I was like that for 17 days. I was not on any drugs, I was alone in my apartment. And then one of the days, on the 17th day, I remember hearing the word Jesus. And I looked and I listened. I'm like, that can't be it. And in the middle of my apartment by myself, I just said, okay. And it wasn't like, I love you, Jesus. I'm like, okay, this is it. I'm tired. I haven't slept. I'm hungry. I don't know. Prove it to me. And I started praying. And I said, if you truly are the Son of God, if you died for my sins, and that's all I need to do is say, I need you and I need your help. Help me now. And in that moment, this heat came over my entire body from head to toe, better than any high I ever experienced. It's like he plucked me out. And all those people for 4 years that were coming to that house never contacted me again. And he set me on a new path. And that's how I came to Jesus. So my first husband, Rich, being diagnosed with bipolar type 2 with high anxiety, the medications that he was on and the treatment he was getting caused him to be in a place of feeling dark, and there was no place and there was no hope. So that is what I believe led him to do what he did and taking his own life on Christmas Eve, 2007. So I was down around Christmas. I remember it was the 23rd, and I went into a store. We were just buying different things. And I just remember sitting down, and I felt something was off. And I wanted to get in touch with him, so I was trying to call my husband, and I couldn't reach him. And then I get a phone call, and it was his dad. He was screaming and crying, and he said, Abby, it's Rich. And then I went outside, and I got a phone call to speak with the doctors. They were able to tell me that he had ingested a lot of pills. He had tried to cut his wrists. Later, I learned that he also tried to do carbon monoxide, and that didn't work. And finally, he ingested gasoline, and then he lit himself on fire. So as we're driving, I remember laying down in the back seat, and I'm numb. And I just closed my eyes, and I heard God say, Abby, you need to forgive him. You need to forgive him, and you need to give him back to me. And then the phone rang, and that was the nurse saying that he had just passed. So trying to put things back together after the loss of my first husband, I didn't tell my kids the truth at that time of the extent of how he died. I did end up getting remarried. My daughter, Kaylee, struggled a lot. She had a lot of memories of her dad because she was older when he had passed. They ended up learning about the actual truth of his death when they were looking through paperwork for job applications. So my daughter's 17, hearing the truth about that. And so that made them both just question everything and be angry at him, angry at me. Why didn't you tell me? My daughter started to act out erratically as well. She was honor roll student. She had all of these things going for her, but that really broke her. And she had a sexual assault as well that I didn't know about until a year after. So her behavior's just like mine because nobody believed her. There was so much between her life and my life. And so little did I know that that was leading her down into using substances that she kept quiet and she was silent about. And then getting deeper down into evolving into cocaine or different things that I didn't know until she finally told me. And again, I got her into rehab. I'm like, we're going to take care of this. She was there for 30 days, but they failed her. There was a man who was 40 years old who was also a patient there. She was only 21, that snuck into her room and assaulted her as well and convinced her to leave against medical advice. But this guy convinced her to drive out to Tampa, which is about an hour and a half from where we live. She drove out there. And then at some point, I got a phone call from her, and it was on a Friday night, that she was in a car accident. Her car was all busted up. She was physically okay. And I was exhausted. And that when I said, I'll see you in the morning. Little did I know that she had gotten a hold of something, and she took it, and it was pure fentanyl. And so in the morning, I thought I was letting her sleep in. I went off to my therapy appointment, and I told my husband, because remarried, I said, hey, just go check on her just to make sure she's up so we can deal with insurance. And then my phone rang, and it was a friend of mine that said I needed to call my husband right away. I'm like, what's going on? So I finally reached my husband. He's crying hysterically, and he said she's gone. And they didn't know at the time what she had done or taken because they made it a crime scene. So I couldn't even see her when I got home. The medical examiner said, you don't want to remember her like this. So I just had to say goodbye to her as they brought her down on the gurney. Put the blanket over her and to say goodbye. I'm going to be fully transparent and honest that after my daughter died, I didn't want to be here. I was done. I just wanted to check out and not remember anything. And I couldn't tell you what it was, at what point or what moment God said, you need to get up. Just like he said to me all those years ago, get up. And so I got up and I stopped doing the stuff I was doing. I put the alcohol away. I looked at my son. I said, I need to do things better. And I went back to work. And I work for a hospital as a mental health consultant. We just did suicide prevention awareness, an event at work, and I'm just open now. I share everything because if it can just touch an element of any of this can touch one life and make them realize there's a better way, and that's Jesus. That's my purpose. While I am a licensed mental health counselor, I have the training, I have the skills. I missed things with my own family. When it comes to that, that's why we really do need to have that relationship with Jesus. There are no medications, there is no therapy in the world that can truly take the place of being vulnerable and open and allowing him to do the healing that needs to take place. So that is my purpose now, is to truly just share authentically with anyone who will listen that there is hope and they don't have to do this alone.